We live in an area that tends to have quite a lot of black walnuts. You can see two big ones off in the distance there. And black walnut, really lovely, wonderful tree. We enjoy eating, harvesting and curing and eating the nuts of them. We made videos about that whole process, which I'll share here. But black walnut's also tricky in that it's very selective about who they'll allow to grow underneath them. In this video, I'd like to talk about some trees and shrubs that have worked incredibly well in a juglone context or under a black walnut, so stick around. So here we are looking to the south at a really big, beautiful walnut. It's got a nice crop on it this year. Here's another walnut right overhead, black walnut, Juglans nigra. And basically everywhere in this frame is very influenced by juglone, by the root exudate that the walnut puts out into the soil. So the only plants that can really grow in this context are plants that are at least juglone tolerant. So I'm just going to start looking at a few of them. Here is one that has proven to be quite happy in the juglone context of a black walnut, and that's elderberry. It seems as though both American and European elderberries are comfortable with the influence of black walnut on the soil. It's a decent sized walnut right here, and maybe about 20 feet or so to the west are some European elders. This is Samdal, it's a Dutch variety, and I would suspect the black walnut has some influence over here. Maybe not as intense, but this shrub is not showing any issues. So it seems like American and European elderberry have no issues. Let me know if that's been your experience as well. I wanted to reserve judgment on this for a little while just to see how well they would grow. Here's a persimmon. I don't know if this is going to be male or female yet. It seems like they trend towards more male than female. This is in the realm of the walnut, maybe not as intense, but pretty nearby, and showing absolutely no issues whatsoever. So American persimmon feels as though they're quite juglone tolerant. Honey locust seems to be quite happy in here. I think black locust almost assuredly is. I used to live in the woods where black locust and ash grew underneath the black walnuts. So honey locust, black locust, and I would suspect Amorpha fruticosa or river locust should all be able to be comfortable under a black walnut. So some nitrogen fixers certainly can work in there. The true champion of black walnut context is the Pawpaw, Asimina triloba. In fact, I would suggest that the pawpaws that we have in this landscape that cropped the earliest and the heaviest and had the best flavor all were in association with walnut. So here's a pawpaw that is 3 feet to the north of a walnut, cropping thoroughly in the shade of that walnut as well as the influence from the juglone. And another one just a few feet over to the east, loaded to the gills with fruit set. I mean, ridiculous amounts of fruit in here. So if only one plant were to be associated with black walnut, if you only put in Pawpaw, you would do quite well for yourself. And so the walnuts do not need to be cut down. They're tolerant of the shade in here. They probably would make a little bit more fruit if they were in a little more sun, but it does not seem to be necessary. And all through here, just loaded, loaded, loaded. It's gonna be a nice crop in the fall. And this is all in walnut context. We have some hazelnut growing in here. And so this is a hybrid hazel, a mix between European and American. And the walnut is about 15 feet to the south. This is the biggest one in this glade. So quite a huge amount of influence. And I would put this hazelnut in the realm now of just tolerant enough. The one that's closest to the walnut hasn't gotten all that big. The one a little further away has gotten a little bit bigger. Maybe it's the shade, that's possible, but I think the juglone isn't amazing for it, but it's able to tolerate and grow here. So hazel could be planted in an area where there's walnut if the intent is to cut the walnut someday, I think. Redbud absolutely adores it. This is just going bonkers over here, quite happy. We've got comfrey along near the drip line of the walnut. They seem to be growing just fine without any issues from the juglone, so that's a relief. Another character that I'd put in the very top of the juglone tolerant friends is the black-cap raspberry. So these are just finishing up their crop this season, and I've seen this over and over and over again in nature that black caps will grow on the sunny side of black walnut. So we've added them in here. Got some beautiful bee balm growing behind them. And, well, mint seems to do well in walnut context too. But here are some black caps. There's yet another walnut growing right next to them. And the fruit is very, very happy. I think they could enjoy a little more light, but again, they can just creep. They can keep going to the south and get what they need there. And so, if you have giant towering black walnuts in your landscape, do not despair. Do not fire up the chainsaw. Leave them. They are a source of amazing fat and protein, very reliable. And underneath them, consider adding in the black caps in the sunniest glades you have. Any of the mentha, the mint family, in the sunnier parts. Think about elderberry as a very, very compatible, very happy associate to the black walnut. And definitely think about Pawpaw as a keystone understory element to the black walnut. And honorable mention certainly goes to Hazelnut for putting up with the black walnut just enough. Persimmon feeling really, really promising. And autumn olive and Goumi both seem like they can do it too. Share in the notes, what other plants have you found? I know I've talked about this before, but now that there's a few more years of observation, it feels like it's really, really comfortable for me to commit to those plants as being truly juglone tolerant, if not ecstatic with the experience. Let me know if you disagree or if you've got some things to add. Let's get some juglone tolerant friends up in the landscape here.